My girlfriend told me something today, just about how she perceives me. I understand how she came to that conclusion. I understand how a lot of people can see me in the way that they do. It's something that I've always had a difficulty, but I never deny because people perceive me how they perceive me, and it's it's sometimes difficult hearing someone's honest opinions about you because you try to present yourself one way, but you could see how someone comes to those conclusions. It's not only about just how you act, it's not only what you know, but what they know. If they've gone through the pains and the trials and the tribulations that you have and won the battles that you've won, would they say that you're as cocky or arrogant? Or would you say that you have a tested confidence? Maybe that's my perception of myself, but I also still understand I'm not the only one that has gone through hardships and pains and trials. There are things that I don't know of other people's lives. But one of the greatest difficulties that I have as a black person is that I can't afford to allow someone else to have bigger and greater tragedies than my own. The precedents that someone else takes, they have to fight for themselves in that regard. I've taken too many passes and too many breaks, stopping to deliberate, and then sometimes I come to answers that may not be absolutely. I have a greater pain, but even when I come to the conclusion that they may have a equal or greater pain, I cannot do anything for them. It always comes to a notion: what am I supposed to do with that? Had I caused the pain? If it was, I don't think that we would have deliberated for that long. I think it would have been a little simpler for us to come to an arrangement. But no, when it's a systemic issue, people always seem to come to me or speak about their issues. Like they don't want me to speak about mine until theirs are addressed. I think that my attitude uh, has shifted to sound a little bit arrogant and cocky, well, to others. But it's to acknowledge my own when I felt like no one else would acknowledge it. The pains and trials and tribulations that I've been through. It's a rougher type of situation because I know people won't like me. Even making these philosophical works, the way that I make them, it doesn't seem like there's an advantage towards them. Other people want to make videos where it shows their face, and sometimes I don't write scripts, so I speak from the heart. I don't always do it well, and I don't always get my point across, but I speak honestly, uncandidly. I do that because I'm trying to combat all of this artificial, this over processed. It's simply far too clean and precise for products that aren't able to deliver. Like, yeah, it's manufactured well, but it's still, at the end of the day, a useless product. You can have a whole bunch of Pez dispensers in pristine condition, but if no one eats Pez's, well, then what was the point? Just because something looks nice, something was made nice, doesn't mean it's great. And that's what I see constantly. So I'm trying to. I'm proud of my potential. I'm proud of what I've gone through and what I can potentially become. I do it because am I supposed to be proud of it later? Only once it's accomplished its goal? The same way as I'm proud of a child before they become an adult. I am proud of a seed that is planted before it grows into a tree or a bush and harvest whatever the crop is. I'm proud of it. Every day and every night, when it lives and even when it dies, I am proud of it. Even if it does not produce anything else, I'm proud of it for simply existing in this world. Because the hardest thing to do is live. It's the hardest thing to do is be yourself. So much weight and pressure is put on you. There are nights where I sit there and I think that everyone's gonna hate me. But they already do. Yeah. But hate is just a different form of love. That they'll hate me now and then love me later. That's like discipline. You hate your father for disciplining you, not just not beating you. That's not discipline, but actually taking away your games or putting you in timeout or forcing you to sit in a room and think about your actions. That's discipline. At first you think it's abuse. Yeah, you hate them, and then you realize that you did come up with a conclusion, a decision. Your anger and frustration may have been pointed at them, but it did help. It's a neat trick because it's like taking time, planting a seed and forever growing. I'm cocky. Yeah, I do think that I'm smarter than most, but that's not because I'm just giving myself kudos. I worked hard to get my intelligence. I worked hard to get the stories that I have. Yeah, I've lied. I've told fibs and things that would not make me sound like the greatest person. My reasons, at first, I rationalized it, but as I've grown older, even though I still do it, I've I'm working on the stages of overcoming it, doing it less and less, just becoming better. I remember why I used it, why I told lies, because I just wanted people to think I was interesting. Even though I had enough interesting things, I never felt like people truly viewed me as interesting, so I fabricated, included, and added. But I don't need to anymore. If my story isn't interesting enough, then it isn't interesting. Then I'll go do something and make it more interesting. But the things that I truly find interesting, there are many people that fail to comprehend why it's so interesting. How my life is is shaped by chattel slavery. How my relationships, my position, and careers are shaped by others that I will never meet, those that I have never seen, and those that believe that they had nothing to do with how I became, will take no accountability. It's not saying that I don't have my own life in my hands. That's why I say if I'm going to have my own life in my hands, I'm going to carry it with respect, hold it with pride. I've always found it a bit weird If you're going to take care of your own life, why wouldn't you be proud of it? Why wouldn't you speak of it in high regard when you see others speak of it with high regard? We view cockiness and arrogance, um, well, I won't call what I'm doing as cocky or arrogant, but we look at someone with pride and only specify it for those of specific positions. And I think that I don't care what others do, but that's not what I'm going to do. I can tell when a man truly has pride but respect. Like they could be proud of theirs, but they're not discrediting others. They they're just happy with their own. They're content. No, they're understanding of how theirs can interact with another's. As a car can, no matter how nice, can still scrape somebody else's or ding somebody's door. Someone could cherish their car so greatly and yet still hold themselves accountable when they have done something. Like a car, if you ding another's and you're a nice fancy one, you pay if someone's car, let's say was like a Ford Taurus, like a 1997 Ford Taurus, and you have a new 2025 or foreign or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You still respect it as you respect your car. That's what I do. I respect it. And I expect you to respect mine. When I walk into classrooms, I hold myself high. I ask the questions I do, but I view everyone as my peer. And I say that you should strive to know more. Now, there's a realization that I'm older than most of my peers, at least in that regard. So they're not my peers in that regard. But I still hold them to a standard. See, the whole factors of degree fields can be a fickle beast because we often use the academic standards to equate a, a level, but they're so stringent, they're so strict that a bachelor's that has a C, a person who obtains a bachelor's with a C, or a person that obtains a bachelor's with A's, considered the same. I know you can add the with honors and the other little trinkets, but after a while, it's really kind of hard to boil down. They could be equally as smart. The person with C's could have potentially got the A's if it wasn't for them being hindered by academic or biological factors. Well, not bio. Well, yeah, like ADHD or getting sick. Not just saying that they're bad biologically. Economic or social issues. We simply look at a bachelor and say that is it. That is the making of a person. I hold myself high because I say if you're going to make me do all this work, potentially, if you ask me to know something, I'll know something. I'm not worried about the degree. I'm worried about the information and the education. I'm worried about the standard. That's why I hold me and my peers accountable. When we are in this classroom, they might not remember um, everything in school, but they'll remember what I said to them. I gave them my entire honest truth. They'll remember that class even if they hate me because I was not one of the ones that let them have an easy day. When people listen to me and when they listen to these philosophical works, they're gonna know that, yeah, sure, I held my head up high, that I always sound great now. But I made sure that when I spoke with authenticity, that I tried my best. I tried to deliver everything that I could possibly think of. I made them work for it. Yeah, not everything was going to be quick and convenient and easy. It wasn't going to be a pampered and very nice way, because I didn't have. I didn't have that to give. I didn't have the information or the knowledge or the tools. When someone looks back and asks, why was it so crude? Why wasn't it done in the standard that was akin to that year? You're going to look and see, why was there such a disparity? And how could one be so proud of subpar work? Subpar does not mean it's mediocre. Subpar quality, sure. It might be crude. No, I won't say subpar. I'll say crude. What I do is crude, but a high quality sense of work. I've seen a products that are over processed, that are backed with lots of money, and they end up being garbage because they're mediocre, because they lack that soul, that authenticity, that thirst for knowledge and questions. Philosophy is is something for everyone. It's not like a particular one thing. It is everything. That's why it can hit every realm. And one of the funniest degrees is philosophy is the most useful, useless degree in the world. It's something that you always need to pair it with something. Like, you can't eat it all on your own. I guess it's like water. Philosophy is like water. You need it to survive. You need it every 3 days, and that's the minimum. But you usually don't drink it alone. You mix it with herbs and make tea. You drink it with dinner. It helps you digest things a lot better. But you cannot survive on philosophy alone. And that's why I try to make it clear to people. That's why philosophers are often overlooked. They're useful, but also useless. When people are, because there's an abundance of philosophy. But if the philosophy is tainted, if it has impurities, you might not notice it the first run. You might not notice it for a long time, but it can get you sick. You drink some tainted philosophy, because it's not truth. Again, they become lies and half-truths, still holding a high contents of truth. But you don't need a lot of poison to kill a person. Just a drop, maybe two. And that's what people fail to realize, that it doesn't take that much. It just takes overlooking. It takes a day. It takes a second to just let something slide, and it becomes a big domino effect. People get used to oversights. They say it's a part of the game, a part of life. But I don't think so. I think that people want to ease their pain and suffering and say it's a part of life. It's a part of life to combat those things. I believe that there was a time when things were peaceful. For a long time, there was times where things were peaceful. life was in harmony. It's just for our time to get back in step. That we can live once again, and sure, we'll die eventually. Like, the human race will evolve or become extinct. It doesn't really matter. But I say that I live for this challenge of becoming the dodo, to have it so peaceful that we live for eons, that we don't have to fear death, and simply when we get wiped out, we're okay with it. That sounds like the greatest fate. Others might think that it's ridiculous, but isn't it more ridiculous to go out in war? I think that war is just another way of mercy killing. Two young men that didn't really have a potential chance to eat or sleep great in the village, no aspirations. So they kill themselves in a way that seems a little less painful, like a seppuku. You kill oneself. You avoid the shame or the pain, and you can live in this false sense of honor. But that's the problem. You kind of all fall to this false sense of honor. You start seeing more and more people living, and more people devising tactics that yes, kill more people, but there's a glory in killing people. Why? Instead of dying yourselves and living in that glory, you could just kill others. So this pact is broken. But it just goes on to harm more. Those whose plans were to do the suicide can no longer be. Because people aren't killing each other. It's not just killing each other, it's torturing each other. Waving inside that you're going to live in great excruciating pain for longer than necessary. It won't be a fight of wits. It won't be a challenge. There won't be wouldn't be a Valhalla. Wouldn't make you feel good. It just says that you had survived. What you had witnessed, you would have to close your eyes. And then if you were to hold yourself accountable and say, yeah, I still want to die without taking a single life, you would have to run out on the battlefield and get yourself killed. But that's not an honorable way to go. For you would torment and torture every single one that it saw. They would speculate that you had gone mad. They would hesitate. There's no good way to do it. That's why war can be ridiculous in this way. War should only be done when there's no need to say any other words, when things can't be resolved in with words alone. But once the situation at hand can be rectified, it must be rectified. Otherwise, then it'll never end. I speak of pride in this way, the way I speak about these things, because I feel like one must think like this eventually. One must come to this conclusion. If they are me, they come to that conclusion. And if they come to that conclusion, or if they like me, they come to this conclusion. And if they're going to be like me, then if I am naturally just a prideful man, then I will be a good prideful man. I must be. I feel like I am not doing anything wrong. I feel like I am the correct way. I feel like I'm not going down the route of a cult leader, or as a false prophet. Not even as a prophet at all. See, I think that if I were, I would most likely be a true prophet. And a true prophet doesn't really hang with anyone. If a prophet did, what what use would a prophet have with trying to convince a lot of people, or just 7 people, or 25 people, or 100 people just at once? It sounds great if you could do it, but that's too much work. Too much work to maintain. Too much work to lie. I think a prophet is human, never denies its humanity, is aware, and does not want to obtain some false um, glamour or hope, doesn't want to aspire to godhood, knows that it's inevitable that they will achieve godhood, but isn't glamorizing it, isn't trying to take anyone else's pain or spot away. It's not trying to be expedited. I think that a lot of cult leaders, race does play a heavy part in it. Those believing in white supremacy, usually those white themselves, but especially those that fall and believe towards white supremacy. And I see many. And I am someone that does not turn my eyes away from white supremacy, but actively looks at what it is and denies it. That's a hard thing for many people to do, because people are trying to replace. They're trying to be the next white supremacist, the one that gets paid, the one that gets some sort of pleasure, some sort of false comfort. I won't deny that I want to be comfortable, but I want to truly be comfortable, not a temporary comfort, because that's all it is. It's uncomfortable until, and that means that I'm not comfortable. I'm looking for a level of permanent comfortability. If I can't get that, or I feel solidified, like maybe I can never get permanently comfortable. But I want to feel stable enough to where I can climb back up. I feel like if I produce good quality work, if I slip up, people say, oh, okay, that wasn't really his best, but we'll give him another chance, a true, honest chance, not a having to justify it, not having to shield it, not having to hide it. Someone that's willing to admit my mistakes. I'm willing to admit my mistakes, to live and breathe by them, but then to do better. See, that's the portion of a relationship. That's the why I'm so proud of who I'm with and why I'm with her. Because like she knows the bad things about me, the things I'm not so proud of. But she doesn't deny those things of me. Some things are not um it doesn't make me a bad person. Sure, they're not particularly wanted traits, but they are defining of me. And she accepts those things of me. The things that I can't change. And that's love. She accepts all of me, not just part of me. And that's why I keep my pride. I would happily turn it down. I I don't want to see myself in a higher position. I know that hubris can get you killed, believing yourself so great, trying to aspire for positions that I'm not qualified for, that I wouldn't do good. It's not a smart idea. I don't see myself in every position, not even those what someone would imagine as higher position. I recognize that. I couldn't be a politician. Not because it is not a good job, a steady job, something that can be admirable. I believe that politicians can be admirable, but I see myself and I recognize that I don't believe that I could do that much better. I'm honest with myself. If I was in that position, I think I would fall into the same corruptions too. I would fear for my life as well. That I would want someone to make an actual solution that maybe gives me a alley oop, something that provides the opening and the cover for actual change within. How can you say that you want to change things, but you never provide any cover? You will never um, help those individuals. You'll expect them to do it all on their own, and when they inevitably fail, you'll blame them on their own. I am proud of myself because I feel that I discovered that we are all connected, and one needs to have pride in themselves to have pride in others. One must love themselves to love all. I don't need to be absolutely floored with myself. I need to be like, I particularly don't like to have my face bolstered and posted all around. I don't need books that glamorize me and praise me for things that I haven't done. And I think that narcissism and that ego will be my greatest shame. So, because I'm a man of pride, I'm proud of everything that I do. And you think that I would want someone to put falsehoods in, and even if those things never get revealed in my lifetime, like someone will find it eventually. Something won't make sense. Something will be said of rumor. Someone will know the truth. For I know that my power does not reach everyone, and it can't, even if I wanted to. But I don't. Because a man that has power over everyone has power over no one. A man being that strong. A man. Not a god or a being with infinite power, with infinite time. No, a man that will eventually age, that will grow paranoid, that will grow tired, that will grow sick. There are times where I've been sick, so sick that the quality of work that I have done was subpar and shabby. I don't want to live like that. I guess like one of the hard things that I have to deal with is that being perceived, it's difficult. I don't want people to perceive me any way that they don't already. I think the more time that me and my girlfriend are with each other, the more that we'll grow, and the more that I'll change with her as well. But I've always kind of I've been afraid. I've been afraid of the negative. Not always. It's just a recent thought that has popped up. I guess I'm worried about how people perceive me. But I have to be strong enough to accept that people will perceive me the way that they are. Maybe it's just if they do perceive me well then uh, I don't want to make a mistake and start trying to live up to their expectations instead of being myself. I have a difficulty of overcorrecting. or touching things when I should leave them alone, and leaving things alone when I should correct them and touch them. That's learning those things. I try to ask people those their techniques and skills, but I guess life is telling me I have to figure that out on my own. With that being said, I am done.